right. So I want to say thank you to all of our people who might be listening to us and watching us today on our Headset podcast, where we try to bring you the best of the best that's out there. And today we have an incredible person here who is, I think in many ways, shattering the ceiling. And she is the assistant coach of the San Diego Loyal, Miss Carrie Taylor. I am rocking our alum attire here, just so you know. So anyone who's out there, go Blue Nation, rocking it in every way I possibly can. And I'm paying homage to a great sponsor that helps out our San Diego Loyal. So without any further ado, Carrie, thank you for being here and spending time with me. And I hope you're okay with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Are you and your family okay with COVID?
Yeah, Jason, first of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I mean, my family's great, and, checked in on my parents and all that. We're just trying to figure out, keep the guys active at home, on their own, and just keep our fingers crossed that positive things will, come out of this strange situation that we're in. But all of our spirits are up and everything's, doing well. We're making the best of it.
So I guess just to jump into it, you're working with professional athletes right now, and a lot of people would oddly think that pros would be able to just take care of things on their own. Pros would be able to navigate through a down period, but we're hearing that's not always the case. And I guess maybe my question for you is plain and simple. What's some of the challenges that you're having to deal with during this downtime of the season? Because you guys were 2-0, correct? Like, you guys just started.
Well, we had a win and a tie, but we are in first place in the West, so we will claim that for a while.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think the challenge is that, seasons are on a cycle, and you finish one season and you have a small off season, and then you're gearing up for preseason. And as professional players and coaches and everything, or college athletes, they get used to what that cycle is. And then when there's change, it's hard to, go, okay, well, what does that mean? Or what do I need to do to, stay positive? So it's been, obviously a challenge for all sports. And, we're just doing as other teams are, providing Zoom meetings and individual workouts and things like that, and just trying to take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
With the hope of, we all hope that we can get our 2020 season in, and, just take each day as it comes, and try to just do what we would, and keep our own spirits up and the players' spirits up as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be challenging because, some of the athletes that I've spoken with over the past little while, they're very date oriented. And what I mean by that is
not just the players, because some of us coaches are very date and schedule oriented.
Right. This is, I'm so happy you're saying this. You're hitting it out of the park, because one of the guys that I spoke with about 2 weeks ago, he's a professional cyclist. And what happens in his world is the guys get told ahead of time, almost like as if they're a fighter. You're going on this date, right?
Yeah.
Like, this date, you're going to Italy, or you're going to China, and you're going to be racing a 5-day race and blah, blah, blah. So the guys can almost ramp up to that date, right?
Oh, yeah.
And now they don't have that, right? So for you, it's a little bit of a different scenario. And I guess, are you feeling or noticing that guys are in the same kind of scenario? They're looking at date specific or just season specific, and it just affects them, like, now what do I do kind of thing? Like, how does it work for a team guy?
Yeah, well, I think with any sport, we train at the Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Facility, and we're around track and field athletes, we're around Olympians, and so it's almost every athlete is very calendar and goal based, because they have their certain targets, and it's all of their training is based on building up to those targets. So, with our team, our assistant Nate Miller has he's done this whole periodization process, and all of our training and all of our loads and everything is built on when our games are, when our Open Cup games are going to be. And so basically it's readjusting all of that. And for all of the athletes, whether it's the track and field athletes that we're training for the Olympics, no one knows when this is going to start up again. So we don't have a target date. And for myself, I'm very calendar and task oriented, and it's everybody's adjusting to change, and it's not the easiest thing, but again, we just try to stay as positive as we can. And everybody's kind of in the same boat. And there was some good news out of Germany. I guess some of the teams over there are going to start going back to training very soon. So the hope is we can get through this and get back on the field, and all athletes can hopefully get back to what they're familiar with and what they love to do and where their passion's at, which is training and playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be so challenging for you right now, because it used to be that back in the day, a coach could just treat all of the athletes the same, right? And this is all what we're doing and how it's going. And for many years now, we've been hearing the complete opposite, where it's so important to know each athlete individually.
Right.
And I guess maybe the question would be, in your situation, what are some of the challenges for you in having to kind of keep everybody moving? Are you having to deal with each person one-on-one, or how does it work for you? What are the challenges for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point in that, getting to know the athletes, getting to know what motivates them. Some are older and, can adjust to change better than some of the younger players, or, we have some players that are from outside of the US. So that brings a whole different scenario just in our daily existence as well. So it's, any coach is going to hopefully try to get to know their athletes as people and create those connections there, whether we had this coronavirus or not. That was something that we try to do, and get to know our athletes. We started, well, we didn't start, but again, our assistant coach Nate Miller recommended something that we've been doing with our team on Tuesdays, which has been really cool. It's Tell Us About Yourself Tuesday. So during our season on Tuesdays, a different person, they tell us about themselves. So we've had the players have created PowerPoints about themselves with baby pictures and, things that are important to them. And those have been really good things to share within the team. And, the players that kind of allow us in to let them know what ticks a little better and what's important to them. So those are some things that we've done in the short term that I think are helpful in getting to know the individuals as well.
So tell us a little bit about the team. You have guys from all around the world, all around the country. How does it work? What's the demographic to split up with the guys that you have this year?
I think we have players from 13 different countries.
Whoa.
So we're definitely, Landon's done a phenomenal job of creating, an awesome pool of players and signing all of these guys. And, the focus was bringing in good people and good players. And so it's really been fun to help grow the team from scratch. And so we have a couple guys that don't speak English. And so they're learning English, and, they're on Duolingo or getting English and French lessons from a French tutor, and French to English tutor, sorry, and Spanish to English tutor. So it's awesome to see people from different backgrounds just connect, through soccer and sport.
Yeah. So, I don't even have an ounce of soccer experience compared to you. And for people who don't know why I'm dressed in the maize and blue here, is not only am I a big fan and I'm a loyal supporter, but the amazing person that we have on today was one of the founding members and on the very first University of Michigan women's soccer team. So thanks to you and your efforts and your teammates' efforts way back when, that's why the Blue and Maize
Yeah.
have an actual D1 women's program. So like credit to you. You're a founding, I guess, a founding mother, not a founding
Being
father.
part
Right?
of it, being part of it. It wasn't, it definitely was not all me being part of it.
Well, it's interesting because you're a creator, right? And what I'm hearing you talk about it is, for those again who don't know, the other gentleman that you work with, who is spearheading the project over there, is Mr. Landon Donovan, probably the most prolific player that the United States has ever developed. And anyone who doesn't know him probably doesn't know about soccer. But I'm thinking to myself, 13 different countries combined together. One of the things that's so unique about your sport is from country to country, there's a style, there's a philosophy, there's a way of playing, right?
Right.
What's that been like, having to mesh that into a system in your guys' end? Because I got to believe that's a bit of a coaching challenge as well, to not only manipulate all the tools you have, but also get everyone to buy in. So what's that been like on a headset
Yeah.
way?
There's a couple different levels to it. So I think the first thing, and you mentioned again, like working alongside Landon and Nate and all the staff is tremendous. And, you can't argue with Landon's accomplishments as a player, and he's been where none of us have been before. And so he's brought in, his ideas on how he wants to build this team. And I think the unique thing is that, we get to build it from the very foundation. So like the multicultural aspect, we can bring that in, and we can almost create a style that kind of doesn't exist, just because we have the players that we have, and we have, the kind of blueprint. We can't share our tactics and
Right.
what we're doing too much, but yeah, I mean, our hope is, we only got 2 games in, but our hope is to, play a very attack-minded game, but also with very, very, we want to work hard. And everyone says work hard, but it's like on attack and defense. Like it sounds a little bit cliche, but we all want to be involved. We want all the players to be involved in the attack and thinking like, where do I need to be, even if I'm not involved? And then also, hey, we lose the ball, we're all hunting it down, we're all battling to get it back. And so, that starts with creating relationships with the players, building trust, getting everyone to buy into the whole, boat rowing in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's hard to argue with, a coach that's scored in World Cups. It's
right.
There are pieces that Landon can add in that no one else can, and so it's a lot of fun. The guys are fantastic. They're a joy to be around. And we wanted to bring in the right guys, and that's beyond their soccer playing ability. We wanted people who wanted to be in San Diego, who knew we were building, who knew it was going to be tough, who knew that, a lot of pressure and eyes were going to be on us because of who our head coach is. And so, we're thrilled with the team that we have, and we can't wait to get back out on the field.
Yeah. You bring up so many amazing points that fit into everything that we talk about with the Headset podcast. And it's you're thinking about the head here. And one of the things that I see reoccurring all the time in almost every sport is something that you mentioned a few seconds ago, is that headspace of knowing what to do and being aware when you don't have the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Being a hockey guy growing up, one of the things that I've noticed over the years of running a program and working with young kids myself, of all ages is being able to teach that mindset of what to do when you don't have the puck, when you don't have, right? Everyone knows what to do to some extreme scenario of what to do when they do have the ball or they do have the puck, right? What do you do when you don't have it? So then
Right.
it would be interesting to see you guys in full effect because you got people that speak different languages, right? And how do
Yeah.
you do that, right? So
They're learning basic soccer words.
right, right. I had a really interesting experience not too long ago in working with the San Diego Legion.
Mm.
They too have guys from all over the world. I don't know if it's 13 countries, but I do know we had guys from Ireland, South Africa, Fiji. We had a couple of Kiwis, and it was funny and cute at the same time when you're dealing with these incredible cultures where the guys are these monstrous athletes, but they have the softest personalities, and everything yes. So how are you doing? Yes.
Yeah.
And did you have a good game today? Yes. Did you get involved? Yes. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Yes. Right? Everything is yes, right?
Yeah.
And tell me more about the game. Tell me more about how you feel. Yes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure communication is a bit of an issue with you guys as well.
Yeah. No, it is. And I mean, a lot of our veteran players on the team have taken not only the younger guys under their wings, not only the guys that are from other countries, but just really tried to embrace and bring everybody along. Instead of yes, our word is good, everything good, it's good.
Love it. I love it.
It's not yes, it's good.
I love it.
But to me, it speaks volumes to, athletes of any sport that are willing to leave their home country for the passion of the game, whatever game it is, whether it's rugby, whether it's soccer, leave their country and just be courageous and move to a place where they don't know the language. They're willing to take a risk because they love their sport so much. And so our two players that don't speak English, Yair and Beverly, I have the utmost respect for both of them just because they're so courageous. And we have a couple other players, Ashley and Jerome, who are also from lands far away, and they know English, but they're still learning. And
right.
So to just be willing to risk and take that challenge, I have the utmost respect for all of our players, but specifically in that situation for them.
Kudos to you for bringing that up. I can share just a small tidbit of my life with you in that a few years ago, I had a chance to visit Europe for the first time in my life with family. And we went and we visited the motherland. We visited the two old countries that comprise my family, and that's Italy and Malta. And I remember getting off the plane in Rome and seeing all the signs. And my Italian was as far as 2 summers of Sunday school of Italian class, right? And I sat there thinking, oh my God, how would I have to communicate?
Right.
Get from point A to point B, right? And some athletes are very lucky in that, there's going to be someone at the airport with a little sign that says, we're here for you and whatever.
Right.
But what if you didn't have that? And when you get over there and you start talking to people, because thank God, English is the universal language for now,
right.
that people will explain to you, do you have any clue of how difficult it is to learn English? Because there's a million ways to say everything.
Yeah, English has no rules of anything.
Right, anything goes, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention all the slang words that we create every other year. I'm totally blown away with every other year there's a new word added to the dictionary. What was the one that blew me away? I think one that blew me away a few years ago was y'all. Y'all is
it's now
officially a word, right?
Okay.
Right? Maybe it wins you a couple bucks on Trivial Pursuit. Did you know? Yes, it is true.
Right.
So I find that really interesting. But you know, another thing that you bring up, even at the professional level, it blows my mind how when you're working with pros, we seem to always come back at every level of development. And we'll talk more about this when it comes to kids and some of your coaching experience. Um, it always seems to come back to that saying of, where did you play?
Where do you what?
Where did you play?
Oh yeah.
When you're getting buy-in, right? In order to get that buy-in at the fullest degree, it seems to me almost at every level, and I experienced it working with high school kids, middle school kids, even parents and whatnot who put their kids in school into sports, that you have to self-explain yourself. You know, where did you play? So
Yeah.
having 5, 10, 20 years of experience is not enough, right? It comes back to that, where did you play?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I wonder, has that been part of the successes you've had to have, or you've had with Landon being there, that we don't even need to discuss that? It's automatic buy-in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think, yeah, I mean, I've experienced that in past situations. I haven't experienced that with this situation. I think part of it obviously is, you know, if Landon has hired his staff, then he's deemed that we're good enough and we know enough. I mean, I feel like I have had to earn the fellows' respect, and I have done that. I think in other situations, personally, like I've, you know, walked into instructing a coaching course and I've had people go, "Oh, are you the admin?" And I'm like, "No, I'm your instructor." And so, you know, I think it's based a little bit on the environment and also who is there, like what the team is, or what the actual participants, who the participants are, and what their mindset is, and their um, experience. I was going to say beliefs, but beliefs is the wrong word. Their experiences are, you know, if they're, you know, for instance, if people aren't used to seeing a female soccer coach at whatever level, then they're going to have this certain set of like unconscious bias, um, and so forth. But, you know, I think that a lot of times in our society, we get caught up on the accolades. We get caught up on, you know, oh, did you play Division 1 or did you play Division 3? Like
Right.
that.
Right.
Honestly, there are some better Division 3 programs and there are Division 1 programs in certain sports and things. So I think that's a part of our culture, is we're very tied to um, the level of degree you have or the level of license you have of where you played, and you know, I don't know that there's not a right or wrong. It's kind of part of our culture, so we just have to kind of, I guess, go, yeah, okay, you know, here I am, I'm your coach, whatever that is, you know, and here you go, and this is what we're going to do, and trying to get buy-in through your knowledge, not your accolades, I guess.
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting point, because there's so much that I want to ask you. You know, I want to talk a little bit about some of your coaching experiences, and you've coached internationally as well, north of the border. I know that for a fact. But I guess in staying with the point right now, you know, we saw a big change just last year, a big move that I think helped again break the ceiling for ladies and women getting into professional sports. That, you know, we saw the first sideline assistant coach with the San Francisco 49ers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hours. That's huge. Right? She was
Yeah.
huge getting on out there, and then she plays a real pivotal role in that team. I'm wondering, in your culture, right? I know for a lot of people, I'm sure I'm saying this from not just a layman's perspective, but that's a huge move in football, with that culture being the way it is. But in
Mm-hmm.
your sport of soccer, what's it been like for you to graduate on up to the pros as a lady in a men's side of pro sport? What's that been like for you?
Um, I think that coaching in American football would be a hell of a lot harder because women don't play necessarily pro football at that level, whereas, you know, within soccer, it's the same game and the rules are the same and the field's the same size. And, you know, we have college programs that are very good for women. You know, there are plenty of women that could be in my role. I think it's more about the creation of opportunities for that. And so, you know, right now I want to be seen as a coach. I don't necessarily want to be seen as a female coach, but I also understand that this is a unique situation. So, you know, I want to be evaluated on my coaching, on my abilities, not on my gender. And that's something that, you know, Landon is phenomenal. Like, he's just a great human and a very collaborative leader. And we have a good trust with one another, and he respects my opinion and I respect his opinion. So, like, I know he didn't hire me as a token female. He hired me because he knows I can do a job. My biggest hope is that other coaches and other people who are in situations to hire female coach or coaches who happen to be female start to look at female applicants and choose the best person for your situation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a person that's like, we need to have a quota, we need to hire women just because they're women. Like, I don't believe in that at all, because that doesn't do women any good. Like, we want to earn our roles. We want to show that we have knowledge to give. So my biggest hope is that if Landon's willing to open up and interview and look at people that are of different genders, that other people out there, other head coaches, are willing to do the same, and that, you know, that the floodgates kind of start to open, and that I'm not just one of one. I'm, you know, one of many, because again, there are plenty of very qualified female coaches out there who could be in this role.
You know, I gotta tell you, the more I listen to you speak, the more I'm so impressed with you, and I want to give you like long distance hug, because
thank you.
You truly are a consummate pro, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. It's my experience that some of the best in whatever sport they're playing, and it's not just sports, it's business, it's life. The best of the best seem to be very humble. And I know you and I haven't had many conversations, but we've had a few. And every time that we do speak, and I listen to you share insight and your feelings, you're so humble, and it's like you're a light, and I feel like I'm a moth attracted to it, because that kind of humbleness is truly what great athletes, great leaders, great people are all about. It's not about walking into your first practice and having to don all the medals you've won and trophies you've won. You know, one of my former teammates in another life used to say, you know, that the toughest guys don't need to tell people that they're tough. And he was so right, you know, looking back in the day, like he did not need to announce that I'm the toughest guy in the room right now. You just kind of went on with your business, and you knew that. And I kind of feel the same for you, right? And you're working with some of the best athletes in this sport, in this country, and having someone like Landon say, hey, I believe in you, go on out there and do the do. And now that you're doing it, you just kind of rise, because I believe that you're going to rise even higher than you realize because of that humbleness. And that humbleness is going to allow people to kind of gravitate to you. When they gravitate to you, they're going to see and feel and learn all the knowledge that you have. So, amen.
Well, that's sister. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
That's very sweet.
Amen, sister. Amen. You know, I guess I say this to share something with you that you wouldn't know, because it just hasn't come up in other conversations, is that much of my life as a kid, I was surrounded by women, and I was raised by them. And it wasn't until in my early teens did I have a male role model come into my life, besides the sport coaches that I had, or the teachers that I had. So I grew up with, you know, a woman who not only is going to help you with your homework and make dinner, but, you know, if we had a leak in the roof, she was fixing the tile outside. And if we had a leak underneath the sink, she did that too. And if there was a little tink tink in the car, she had no problems raising the hood and poking around. And if we got a flat tire near the house, well, this is how you change a flat tire, right? So
Right.
there was a good part of my life where I remember hearing about the women's lib kind of era, and I didn't know what the hell that meant. Like
Right.
everyone's mom should be able to fix a tire and make good pasta.
Yeah.
Yours, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's so funny, right? Being around some of the traditional kids that I grew up with who came from heavy, strong-rooted ethnic families. Um, when they would be talking about things that need to be done around the house, I had no problem saying, "Oh yeah, my mom does that."
Right.
You having a problem with the faucet? Yeah, I should tell my mom to come over and she'll tell you what she did, right? And hello.
Yeah.
And I kind of bring this story up because I know that over here in North America, Canada, U.S., we're becoming more progressive the way that we're thinking.
Mm.
And I guess the question that I have is what's your sport like as a whole across the world? Do you think that we're going to see more people hire women in the men sports? Do you think that they're ready for it in other parts of the world? What's your opinion on that, especially with the European guys coming over to play for you?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I think that it's coming, and I believe the reason it's coming is I look back to like when I was in college, like when I went into Michigan, we were a club sport, and you had talked about it earlier, like being a part of the change there. So soccer for women it's not that old. Like the big kaboom of even college women's soccer programs are, still 30 years and under, other than like North Carolina and your Colorado College and Wisconsin's and things like that. When I went into Michigan in 1990, I'm dating myself here, up until 1993, there were two Big Ten women's programs, Wisconsin and Michigan State. Those were the only Big Ten programs that had college soccer up until 1993. And then a couple more schools went, I think Illinois, maybe Ohio State. And then in 94, when Michigan went varsity, we had our first ever Big Ten Women's Championship. So that's only 25 years ago, 26 years ago. So, that's still in my lifetime. So that generation of women, people, of my age and probably 5 years older, and then now we have all these female players and female athletes who have come behind us, who are younger, who are now growing, wanting to be coaches, wanting to be general managers, wanting to get involved in sport in whatever facet, and it's only going to grow. So the change has been coming for a long time, but you have to look at it. We're behind, like women being in sport, we're behind the men, just not physically behind that, but the timing of it,
right.
There's a time lag. Just like, people say, why isn't the U.S. men's national team as good as England? Well, the English, like they've been playing longer. So like the time lag is finally going to get to the tipping point where there's going to be a lot more women, there's going to be a lot more minorities involved in soccer. And so that's exciting. So in 10 years from now, like the numbers are going to really have grown. So I see it happening. It's, I'm thankful for being a part of, helping make change along with a bazillion other women who, have been in the trenches and done the dirty work and just, been successful and with making change. So
Yeah.
I see it coming in larger numbers, but it's more of a time. There's a little bit of a time lag.
Yeah, it's interesting, like hearing you speak. It really echoes in my mind some of the things that my cousin shared with me. My cousin Laura was a soccer star in our family, and she represented Canada several times in different.
Mm-hmm.
And she also coached, I think I shared with you, Division I soccer at two of the biggest schools in Canada, one of which is the school that she played at University of Toronto. And she's very, very, very successful player. And I wouldn't even have a clue of how many scholarship offers she had back in the day. And to hear her talk, it's incredible because she too will refer to how women's soccer is still in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to imagine that with seeing, the dominance of the women's U.S. national program. Like those women are just incredible athletes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I think really, really sucks for soccer as a whole in North America is the TV coverage. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is this is I remember growing up and having some family members that they weren't really big into soccer. And they would watch it and they would watch the game and they would say, you know, it's boring or whatever, right? And what I'm referring to is the average human being who maybe not has not played soccer at a half decent level has no freaking clue the amount of skill that is needed to play
Yeah.
that game. Because
Yeah.
the aerial view that you have from above watching the game, and it makes sense the way they do what they do, right? You can't see a ball skid. You have no clue how fast that thing's coming at you. You have
Yeah.
no idea the spin, the velocity, what it sounds like, the thud when it hits a person's leg, chest, thigh. You have no clue.
Yeah.
So you're looking down in like this video game perspective. You think the ball is just simply rolling around, right? Every now and
Yeah.
then you can tell there's a banana of some sort, but you have truly no clue the velocity and the skill also needed to control the velocity of that ball coming at you. But the other thing too is the average person, and I don't want to compare it to basketball because I think basketball does a better job with the video and the film footage that they provide. But the average person has no clue how physical the
Mm-hmm.
soccer game is. They
Yeah.
have no clue whatsoever. They think it's just a bunch of people running around in shorts and t-shirts. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the game loses some of the respect that it rightfully deserves. It's because the average person watching doesn't have a clue of
Yeah.
how fast things are going. Like even when you're watching something like NASCAR, right? Like look at NASCAR, right? We're turning left, right? Like
Yeah.
for 3 hours, you could like go to the bathroom, come back, and I'm sure there's some
Yeah.
things that happen, right? But what they do, at least, that I think is brilliant on their part, is they're going to show you the speedometer. He's going
Yeah.
170 miles an hour. Or they take you inside. Technically, it's the cockpit, I refer to it as, with what those guys are having to go through to control that vehicle and everything
Right.
monitored. But you see the vibration. You see how close that other guy's coming to you. And you get a, whoa, there's a lot of skill involved here.
Right.
I think soccer, in my opinion, does a really crappy job at showing uh,
Yeah.
the amount of skill and talent that these players need to have to be able to do what they do. And I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah. I
of
mean,
the
I don't know how I don't know how you change that with camera angles or anything, because that's not my wheelhouse. But yeah, I mean, the soccer athlete is, you know, there's not a lot of there are set plays on dead balls, but like there's so much decision making, there's so much skill that's involved. It is very physical. um, I think I think we're getting to the time that people of my age have kids that are now playing soccer, and so we have this group of like parents who have played. I don't have kids, but there's a group of parents who have grown up playing soccer, and now they're taking their kids to soccer games. So again, like it's going to be more ingrained in our culture, and I think that the one great thing that soccer does is it unites people from all socioeconomic levels, from all religions, races, all of that. And when you come to a soccer stadium, it's a vibrant atmosphere. You know, we had our home opener at Torero Stadium, and it was packed. People had flags, they were singing, they had smoke. It was so amazing. And like, if you go to, you know, the Portland Timbers, the Timber Army stands up and chants the whole game. And so like it's an experience, it's entertainment. It's, for some people, it's like their life and death. Like they support their team no matter what. Like I am with Michigan. Like I will always support Michigan, and the crazy, singing the fight song is just part of who you are. And you have that connection. So I think soccer is a sport that you can really connect to from a grassroots level, and that's what our staff at SD Loyal has done a really good job of, being out in the community and connecting and asking people what they want and what they want to see at games. And it's our job on the technical side to actually put a good product on the field with great human beings who happen to also be good at soccer, and ingrain it within the community so that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when those of us that started this are retired, that it still lasts, and that it's still part of the community. And soccer, I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I grew up playing all sports, but soccer is truly, truly, truly that universal sport. I've traveled a ton of places, and I've been to Africa twice, and I could jump in a taxi in Africa and look and see a Manchester United sticker or a Chelsea Football Club sticker, and immediately start talking with the taxi driver. Hey, you support Man U? And they're like, what? You know football? And so, like, just no matter where you go, no matter what country you're in, you can say, hey, I coach soccer. Oh, you coach? Oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I happen to work with Landon Donovan. And people are like, oh, I know Landon Donovan. And then it's like, you can break any barrier that way. I was in Tahiti on vacation, and someone was like, what do you do? And I was like, I coach soccer, and just got into this conversation, and it just, soccer breaks down barriers. And that's one of the things that I love about the game, that's so special about the game. And, you don't need much to play. You need something that's round and a place to kick it. It doesn't even have to be a ball. And, that's why it's the world's game, and it's part of why I really enjoy the sport.
It's amazing. I mean, USA Soccer should be hiring you. I mean, you could be the spokesperson for them. It's so true. I mean, between what you talk in terms of an athlete's perspective, a coach's perspective, you could also be working for the United Way. I mean, you're breaking down so many different barriers. It's stupid, but it also is something that I believe can heal, right? And I don't want to get too mushy here and trying to keep it guy friendly here, athlete friendly. But it truly breaks down the barriers. And then this is what we're talking about, the power of sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like we may disagree on who to follow, but we agree on what to play. And it's funny because some of the things that you mentioned, they're part of my bucket list. Like I hope that one day I'll get a chance to go and catch a premier game in England. And I know I'm going to miss the entire first half because I'm just going to be spending the whole time taking in the atmosphere of everything, right?
Yeah.
I want to go see a Serie A game, which is the Division One, best of the best in Italy, because it's all about the atmosphere.
Yep.
The atmosphere of this sport for people who have not had a chance to go and watch a game. It's incredible. It's electrifying. It's something that grabs your heart, and it grabs your attention, and it grabs your enthusiasm, whether you realize it or not, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I've been to pro football games. I've been to, Michigan football games. I've been to pro basketball, pro hockey, but, and soccer it's just a different crowd. It's a different animal all into itself. And it's amazing.
It's a different vibe. It's a totally different vibe. And like you said, one of the things that's really cool for me is in working with different athletes, working with different teams on a weekly, monthly basis, whatever it may be, you get to hop into these different vibes, right? Whether it's meeting someone at the beach because they're a pro surfer and you're just part of that vibe, or you're working with the football player and it's a completely different vibe. It's literally a different planet.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of spin things here now to have you share some of the experiences you've had going up and down the ladder, working from youth all the way to pro now. What do you notice in the difference of athlete on the mindset of getting ready for a game? Do you know any similarities? Notice any similarities with kids to today's pro?
Um, you know, similarities. Yeah, yeah. I mean, each level is a bit different, and I've had the opportunity to coach from under 8 to now professional players, and obviously you're being judged at each level. At the youth level, it's you're the rival team across the neighborhood or across the league, or your parents, or you're being judged by your coach. um, at the high school or college level, there's you obviously want to win games, and conference championships are on the line. At the NCAA level, you can go to the NCAA tournament, and like all of that. At the pro level, the players are being paid, so you're working for your livelihood there. So like that adds extra pressures, that adds external, internal pressures, all of that. So I think the one thing that as players, the players also need to realize and understand that it still has to be fun no matter what level that you're at. Like, yes, it's a job. Yes, it's, you're working for your scholarship. If you're on scholarship at the college level, you're always working for your spot. You're always there. But at the very core, it still needs to be fun. And, I would venture to say at the youth level, sometimes if you ask a kid, are you having fun? Sometimes they might not answer yes, because I personally, Carrie Taylor, not assistant coach Carrie Taylor, I personally feel that we're putting too much pressure on younger athletes and forgetting that, like, they're not pros at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like, we, meaning our society as a whole. And so, um, being a teenager is tough these days. Being a college student is tough these days. Being a young adult is tough these days. So, soccer and sport should still be an outlet. It should still be fun. Yes, you want to work your best and be competitive and earn a starting spot and win and go on to championship levels. But at the very core, it's a sport, and you should be doing it because you want to do it, and because it's enjoyable, because it's your passion.
It's so funny what you say, because and I bring this up again and again. So if we have people that listen to this and see us at some point in time on our podcast, they're going to be so sick of me, because and I apologize, because I bring up the fun word. And the reason I bring up the fun word, and I make this point again and again and again, is I believe that we have a lot of really, really good people out there that mean well when they step up, volunteer, and get involved with youth sports, whether it's the manager, whether it's the team coordinator, the one who brings juice boxes, or the one who's got the whistle and the whiteboard to coach. And I think
Right.
without those people, God bless, I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of kids who might not ever get a chance to play, games and sports. But in saying that, I've been involved for a little over 10 years helping coach coaches so they can be certified to go and coach.
Mm-hmm.
And when I bring up the fun word, the F word, bring up the F word, you get this look that comes across like, do you know that we only have so much time to work with these kids? It's all about skill development, and we only have so much time, and we play Saturday, and we only have so many games. And it's like, oh my God, right? And I almost feel like saying we said a few minutes ago, where did you play? Because for the average person who gets on out there and has maybe never played soccer at a significant level, or never known anyone who's played sport at a significant level, they're completely clueless to the fact that if they ever took a moment of time to go to a pro practice at any sport, that there's a good chunk of practice that's spent laughing and having fun.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of fun at training. We have a lot of fun. I mean, the players work their asses off, pardon my French, but we have a lot of fun. And like, you don't want to be miserable doing a sport. Like, that's not the intent of a sport. That's not an intent of competition. You know, it's
God bless, sister. God bless, because I think that so many people look at it as, you're getting paid to do a job, right? And we look at the people who are getting paid well, and whether it's the CFO, CEO, president, whatever, and we look at these all-stars playing these big sports, getting paid big money, and we think that the two are equivalent, right? We would think that it's all business. Yeah, there's definitely intensity when we're playing. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks, because you need intensity and you need to be able to perform. Got it. But in between all that, even the CEO goes to the bathroom every day and takes time for lunch or dinner, right? And we're not going over graphs and charts during that thing. We're having some fun, right? And I think that a lot of people just don't understand that. They can't conceptualize the fact that a pro would actually be laughing and giggling and having a good time, because that's just not what you do. You're a pro, right? And when you try to bring that back in terms of insight to the novice level coach, you can literally see in their face, like, oh,
yeah. And again, it goes to the culture in North America is it's all about winning. Like, if you're not number one, you're number two, and no one knows. But like, I think you brought up the word development earlier. Like, it takes a long time to develop being good at something. So like, why put pressure? And you don't evaluate a 10-year-old on the same things that you evaluate a pro player on. So like, let kids play, let people learn, have success, have failures. Like, heaven forbid somebody has a failure, or like, heaven forbid. Let people win, lose, learn, grow. But again, it can't be rigid. It needs to be more exploration at the youth level, in my opinion, so that kids don't burn out. Like, kids drop out of all sports nowadays at a very much higher rate than they did when I was growing up, or players specialize earlier nowadays than when I was growing up. And it's like, there's no one blueprint, for what makes greatness. And, there's a lot of windy roads. People that are resilient and players that have grit and determination and heart and put in hard work, a lot of times those are the players that are most successful versus the ones that have the most talent at 14, so I don't know. I could talk for hours on this, and I'm not an expert. Again, it's only my opinion, but
no, you're great. And I think expert lies in experience. I think expert lies in being able to see what's worked and what's not worked. And I think expert lies in truly being able to say that you got your hands dirty and you stuck them in the mud and you actually felt it, smelt it, and potentially tasted it. That's what makes you an expert in anything, in my opinion. And when I hear you talk, right, some of the pearls that you're dropping very subtly, you're saying things like, let them fail, let them experience, let's not, over pressure them. And you mentioned something that's a very, very accurate statement, and that there's a lot of kids who are quitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in my opinion, for some of them, they're quitting for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I would ask you, in your experiences, again, going from under 8s to now under 38s, whatever you may have on your team, why do you think kids are quitting? And what have you seen as maybe some of the reasons that would make your head shake that this kid quit?
I think that in my experiences, I've seen a lot of high school age players do all the right things to try to get to college to play college soccer, and then they get to that age and they're burnt out. So, which is to me very sad, because how can you be burnt out on something when you're just 18? So to me, that means somewhere along the way there was too much of something, or it was too pressure filled and it wasn't fun. Why do people burn out? You burn out because you're not enjoying it anymore, and it's a slog and all of that. So yeah, I think that, again, it also goes back to, I'm of a little bit different generation. In soccer, I didn't start playing soccer till I was 12. Right, like nowadays, if a kid didn't start playing soccer until they were 12, they would be like, oh, you're so far behind, there's no way you're ever going to be good. And it's like, I didn't start till I was 12 because I was busy playing other sports. I was figure skating, I was playing girls hockey, I was I was playing pee-wee baseball with the boys, I was playing golf. Like, I was experiencing all the sports, and I continue to experience multiple sports growing up. And I run, I have interest in a lot of sports, and I think that's helped me along the way. And I think our society, again, is inputting specialization on children nowadays versus when I grew up was multi-sport athletes. That's what you were a multi-sport athlete. And nowadays, if you are a multi-sport athlete, you're kind of an anomaly. And when you hear very, very famous athletes of all sports they talk about playing a lot of sports, and picking the one that spoke to them the most, and just practicing because they wanted to practice, not because it was on the calendar and it was scheduled. So I think getting back in the good old days, but like we need to, and maybe this whole like coronavirus pause is going to cause coaches and sports organizations to reflect a little bit and say, you know what, like maybe we need to rethink what we're doing. Like let's fix, or let's take a look and analyze these paths that we're on. Are they the right paths? Do we need to adjust? Do we need to take a left turn? Do we need to break off on another path, or do some look at things a different way? So again, these are my opinions only. I'm not talking from SD Loyal right now, but yeah.
Here's where I think, again, like you're dropping these little golden nuggets here of insight, and you say it in such a truthful and honest way that I believe a lay person would just look at it as a leaf blowing by, right, and acknowledging it for what it is. But what you're saying very subtly, that a lot of elite level coaches, elite level players, trainers are all saying is the power of the athlete rests in multi-sport development. And in coaching classes, again, right, my specialization has been that of hockey. I will bring to light, have you guys ever gone behind the scenes or watched behind the scenes TV shows, documentaries, even wandered through the hallways and potentially seen at a stadium athletes before a big game? And you'll get nods in the heads and whatever. And, in hockey, for example, I'll say, like your sport, you could have a 26 guy roster and all the guys get ready for warm-up, and easy 5 different countries are represented on every roster. So you're watching these guys in their underwear before a game, and what are they doing? They're not stick handling. They're not practicing their shot. They're not doing anything that revolves much of that of the game besides maybe some visualization and mental preparation, maybe watching video, music, whatever. What do you see them doing actively? They're playing soccer. They're playing ping pong. Mm-hmm. They're playing basketball. And it's actually kind of funny to watch the hockey guys with some of this stuff because they're brutal. But they're having fun, right? But then all of a sudden you'll see a guy juggling a ball. Mm-hmm. And you'll see a guy doing something crazy with ping pong, right? You're like, oh my God, right? And what are you looking at? you're looking at an amazing athlete,
Mm-hmm.
like an amazing athlete. And again, I come
Yep.
back to TV coverage, right? Like I wish that we had even better TV coverage in hockey, because people who are watching who might not be fans have no clue that that pass that that guy received, it's coming at him at Mach 5 and it's about 4 inches off the ground. It's not just sliding along the ground like a curling rock. This thing is coming at him at Mach 5 through 3 different sets of legs, and it's coming from 85 feet away, right? And he's got to trap that just like a guy receiving a ball in soccer, watching a skid off of wet grass. You don't really get the true concept of what's going on the field of play. Like that, you don't get the true concept of the development of that athlete.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just working on dribbling
Right.
or shooting the ball. They're playing other sports that are working on reading and reacting,
Mm-hmm.
head fake, creativity. You
Yep.
know, one of the things that makes me just laugh with sports is, we have so many people who are worried about the watch time, and everything's so structured. All the kid knows is structure.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven forbid we catch that kid in the corner juggling a ball while everyone else is listening to tactics and X's and O's. That kid is ridiculed for being creative,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then with a minute left and we're down by one, you'll see coach do the chalk talk, and we're going to do XO to X1. And all of a sudden, when that doesn't work out, what do we hear these coaches say? And if that doesn't work, get creative. Well, what the hell's creative?
Yeah.
Okay? Creative is all the stuff I got in the shit for that I do in practice.
Yeah.
All the stuff we're not allowed to do, all the stuff we didn't have time to do. And now when the season is on the line, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Get creative. Oh, awesome. That's great coaching.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, yeah. No, I definitely hear where you're going with that. As far as the multi-sport goes, you know, just looking back at my own athletic journey, part of the reason I think I got asked to go play on a soccer team just because they needed an extra player. I'd never played the game. I was 12, but I'd played sports. I'd played hockey. So like I knew small numbers, 2v1s, 2v2s, 3v2s. Like I could figure out how to play, and I knew the structure of the game without even really knowing the structure of the game. So like I picked up soccer very quickly because I had played other sports, growing up. I could move my body somewhat gracefully because I grew up figure skating, and I knew how to fall, and I knew how to jump, and I knew how to land, and I knew how to, I knew what was going on around me. So like I could adapt lessons from other sports very quickly. And so, that's part of the reason that, I was able to pick it up at a certain age. And I think, I think there's that creativity that you speak of. If you look at, it could be any sport. I was thinking about, people talked about how creative Michael Jordan was, like how creative Allen Iverson was, LeBron, all of these creative basketball people. Well, my guess is they got creative because they were on until the street lights were on playing street ball, which is how a lot of soccer players get their creativity, from playing pickup soccer and futsal, which we don't really allow that much within the youth soccer structures. And now they're starting to encourage it more, but learning success and failure on your own and what works and doesn't work. I mean, I know as a coach, like I've coached really creative players, and I've always tried my best. I haven't always been successful, but I've tried my best to allow that player to just use their creativity. Hey, if you're an attacking player, when you're in that final third, 1v1, if you feel that you want to go to goal, freaking go to goal. Like, we have a structure, but like those creative players need to be encouraged, not necessarily discouraged. And, and that's the thing, to tie it back to SD Loyal, is, Landon was a creative player. Like, no, so there were times you didn't know if he was going to shoot or pass or shoot with his right foot or his left foot or continue to dribble. And so like he used very creative, and you know, he creates this atmosphere of, yeah, we have structure and we have our team principles, but we also want and encourage players to work on their own. We're there to help them if they want to work on something that's not led by us but supported by us. And you know, we want our players to be creative. We have fun in training, like you mentioned. We play soccer, tennis, we played volleyball the other day just for fun because we're like, hey, we need to do something different, like let's go play volleyball. And ironically, the day that we had to stop training, we were going to have we were going to have a SD Loyal Team Olympics where we were just going to play kickball. We were going to do all these crazy sports as a practice because we had just traveled and we were coming back and needed to do a recovery day. And I was bummed because I was going to be in charge of the Olympics and we didn't get to do it, but we're going to do it. But you know, it's like,
Awesome.
You can train and be at practice and do something a little wacky sometimes and still get something out of it.
Well,
You know,
I'll tell you
within the structure of your training.
I'll tell you a funny story, which I think it falls right in line with what you're saying. Many years ago, my beloved Toronto Maple Leafs were where we know them to usually be until a few years ago in last place. And we had a great coach who, you know, it's one of the major cities that it's a very, very difficult city to be a head coach in. Because you're constantly ridiculed. It's like being a soccer coach in Italy or England or anywhere else in Europe, right? You've got a million critics and everyone in the stands, including your mom, could be the coach. And this poor guy was just getting absolutely pummeled every week. Ron Wilson is his name, and he did something that was so amazing, I thought, and he took a thrashing for this. But the media was all over him because of the fact that things did not look creative. Things didn't look like the team was getting better. And the team was a very young team at the time when he was there. And there was a lot of guys that had a lot of pressure on them, expected to perform in the whole 9 yards. And the media was all over everybody. And he decided that he was going to tell them, you know what? I think you all need to come to our practice on Tuesday. We got a big game on Wednesday, but you need to come to Tuesday's practice because we're going to be doing something that's never been done before. We're going to be working on something new, innovative, creative, and it's going to make us a more amazing team for Wednesday's game. So if you really care, if you really want to be there, show up and you'll see what we're doing, right? So all of a sudden the place is packed with media for practice. And even the players are like kind of freaked out because like there's a lot more people here than usual, right? So the guys are skating around and warming up for a little bit, and all of a sudden, about 5 minutes into the little warm-up, one of the assistant coaches looks at the other assistant coach, and all of a sudden, all the pucks are off the ice. And one of the coaches blows the whistle, and all the guys come on over, and you see all the players taking all their sticks and putting their sticks into the benches. And all of a sudden, they're taking their gloves off, and all their gloves are on top of the benches. Well, the other assistant coach bends over the boards and pulls out 4 squish balls. And they divide the team in half on one side, half on the other. And for a little over an hour, the guys played dodgeball on the ice. And the media lost their mind, lost their mind, right? Like, you promised us that something big was going to happen, right? You told us, right? We all came here and we watched these guys for like 45 minutes to an hour play dodgeball, right? And the guys were laughing and they were joking and they were doing all these crazy things. And even people in the media were like, oh my God, look at that guy jump. Who knew someone could jump that high with skates on, right?
Right.
And it just goes to show, right? Like you got to have fun. You got to think outside the box, and you got to let them be athletes. And you also got to find creative ways to take the pressure off. So I want to segue into my last thing here with you, because I know I could take you hostage for days and days. But I really want to tap into the thing that we always talk about, and the thing that Headset does, and that's talk about the mental side of the game, right? And I guess my big question for you is what are some of the challenges for you as a coach dealing with athletes that are from all around the world and you're at a professional level? What are some of the things that you find that you guys are implementing to help the athletes get their head set to play? Do you work with them in a group? Do you work with them one-on-one? What are some of the things that you even implement to help some of these athletes at this elite level prepare?
Yeah, I think we're still growing in that space. For probably the biggest reason is we basically had to put a team on the field in 6 months.
Wow.
And we we announced in June of 2019 and basically started preseason January 20th. So there were so many moving pieces. Um, what we've tried to do, um, in the short time that we've had is, we have individual meetings with all the players and talk about, get to know them, talk about why they're here, what their goals are, different things like that. We created a leadership council of like veteran players to check in with, to, who can like report back to us of, how's the team feeling? How, do we need to ease off on this? Do we need to do more of this? And so, and we have, the other day, the staff met and we talked about like performance plans for the players and what each player needs to do to improve, and which staff member is responsible for that, and how we can help each player grow not only as a player, but there's some players that are really open and really connected already, and there's some players that are quieter, so we're trying to figure out like, okay, which staff member does this particular player connect with more or better or quicker or feels more comfortable speaking to the staff member. Because coaches, we love all of our players, but you develop different relationships with players in different ways. For instance, we have a player on our team who went to Michigan, so like he and I have that Michigan bond, and we can joke. We have inside jokes about our times at Michigan. Obviously, he was there way after me, but there's little things like that that just can connect you with players. Landon played with one of our players at the Galaxy, so like he has a different connection
Yeah.
with one of our players who actually he shared a field with. And we have players that have played against Landon who, there's all these different like webs throughout the team. And we also have tried to do a good job of making sure they're taken care of off the field. So our team manager, Lizzie, has done a phenomenal job checking in with the players, like, making sure their housing's okay, making sure, the players from out of town have set up bank accounts. And so we try to put things around them so that they feel comfortable if they need something, if they need to reach out, if they need to talk about something. And we can do it. We can definitely grow and do a better job, but those are some of the things that we've been able to focus on in the short term. And I think the biggest thing, one of our core values is compassion, and gratitude. So that's not really, usually when you think of a sports team, like compassion really isn't usually a core value, but that's something that, Landon feels really, really strongly about, is having compassion for other people, for other situations, and that. So I think that we're trying to show the players that it's okay to struggle. Like, it's okay to be happy, be sad. Maybe you might get depressed sometimes. Like, it's okay, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think that's especially hard for, I don't want to stereotype, but for many men, it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to say, hey, coach, I'm struggling, or hey, I miss home, or whatever the case may be. So we try to do that from the top down, and Landon's very open with the players and compassionate. And, the Tell Us About Yourself Tuesdays have helped us, get to know each other. And like when we did it, I was the first one to go, so that they felt, and I shared a lot about my background and my struggles, and getting fired from one job and having to work at UPS because I got fired and I couldn't find a job. And so, showing and modeling behaviors that allow players to feel comfortable opening up. So
I again, this is the reason why I could talk to you every single day for at least, oh, I don't know, 8 hours. Because again, the pearls that you share, once again, show what an amazing person you are and an amazing coach I'm sure you are.
Thank you.
Because of that humbleness. But one of the things that you shed light on, and again, there's a couple that I really want to bring to light here is you talk about goal setting. And what that tells me is that you're working with every athlete individual, and
Mm-hmm.
you're showing the compassion because you're wrapping that around care, right? You can be compassionate about something, but unless you follow through and provide that care, it's just an oh well as you drive past the freeway, right? You know, how many
Yeah.
times we feel for the person with the flat tire, but you know, we don't really ever pull over to fix that flat tire and help them, right? You guys are doing that. You're making sure that guys have bank accounts, that they're feeling okay. You're showing not only compassion but care because of the fact that someone can't speak English, right? So that's a huge credit to your organization, your leadership. I've also heard an amazing thing about your organization, that you guys are continuing to take care of the players, like financially through this time. I mean, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, what an amazing leadership, ownership. I mean, oh my God, God bless the people that are behind the scenes that are making this team happen. They're incredible people.
Yeah.
You know,
It's really
there's,
a great organization for
oh,
sure.
phenomenal. And when you take the time to make things individualized and wrap that care around the compassion, that's when I think you're making a huge difference. That's when I think you're really making that bond, that link with every single player, because you know that they are cared for, right? They matter. They're not a number. They're a
Mm-hmm.
person. But I also think it's fantastic that you're individualizing things for each athlete to show them that, you know what, we're going to create a different level of success for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this year success for you is going to be doing A, B, C, and D, getting you from this point,
Right.
right? And that's another level of care and compassion, I believe,
Yeah.
because you're giving them smart goals, right? And one of the things we know with smart goals is that
Yeah.
they're specific, measurable, attainable, they're realistic to the moment, and they're
Yeah.
timely, right?
Yeah.
And that's what breeds that excitement. That's what breeds that level of competition that's coming out of the guy,
Yeah.
coming out of that athlete, right? And it's also giving them a chance to be resilient and successful at the same time because they're chasing something that's just above their
Yeah.
nose, and they're now able to grab it. And that's
Yeah.
easy. That's care because
Yeah.
you're getting to know that person. Uh,
Yeah. We also did, I mean, most teams probably do this, but we also did, team goals, and we didn't set the team goals. Like, we set up the structure and we made the players agree to SMART goals. So we have, like, it's on my notebook. It's on my notebook so that I look at it every day. We know what our team goals are
yes.
that the players came up with, and they're all, we had to help them figure out how to measure some of them, or twist the goals into things that we could measure. But we got all the players agreed, bought into it. We talked about it can't just be on the field. You have to make sure that your behaviors off the field also help set you up for your goal attainment.
Right.
Right. If you're not getting sleep, if you're eating too much or not eating the right things, all of that factors in to what you want to accomplish. And if you're not doing that, then that's on you. We can only help them so much. They have to exhibit the behaviors in order to attain their goals. Otherwise, they're not going to reach their goals.
Right. Right. And what's really good about that is not only are you giving them a plan, you're giving them guidance, right? I can't tell you how many coaches think that they're giving pearls of wisdom when really they're giving them rocks of confusion. I remember a million years ago, I can tell you this stupid story, that I had a coach who he had an older daughter, and his daughter would come to games to watch us play. And all the guys at our age at the time, I was like 13, 14 at the time, we're all enamored with girls at that time. And they would come and we'd like buzz around, oh my God, coach's daughter is here. And oh my God. I'll never forget this scenario where one time as a goalie, I went to stop the puck behind the net and I almost missed the puck. And then when I went to go play the puck, I passed the puck to someone from the other team. And as I was doing that, I couldn't help but notice the coach's daughter and all of her friends in the stands. And then all of a sudden, the guy basically scores into an open net and the coach loses it. And the coach basically pulled me from the game. And he came to the bench with my head in shame. And he said to me, "Do you know why I'm pulling you?" And I just kind of looked and he said, "Well, if you don't know, then sit down because you obviously shouldn't be here." And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, I missed stopping it behind the net. And then when I did get it, I passed it to the wrong team. Then I was out of position. And then they actually received a pass from me, which resulted in a goal being scored on our net. And you might have caught me staring at your daughter and her friends. Which one did you get me for? Right? So, I made 6 mistakes in one play. Which one did you get me for? Right? And again, that's 100 years ago, and we know a lot more today. But what you guys are doing is, I believe that you guys are creating that recipe for success. You're not only showing the compassion and the care, which is some of your core values, but you're also explaining to your athletes, this is where you are, this is where we know you can get to, and this is how. Right? Like I'm a big fan of this guy by the name of Simon Sinek, and he's an incredible career on explaining why, right? I think why is a huge thing that needs to be implored more when we're coaching today's kid, today's athlete, whatever it may be, because a lot of athletes are global learners. They need to know the history of everything to get buy-in. But with that said, you can why it up all you want. If you don't explain effectively how, now you're just creating more frustration. Because I know why this is so important and I know why you want me to do this. But if I don't know how to do this, you're basically telling me to cook sauce and I have no pot and I have no pan and I have no idea how to cut up the ingredients, right? Like it ain't gonna get made. So you explain the how you can be successful, how you can get support from us, how you're going to get more playing time, how you're going to get more accolades. This is how. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, and because a lot of coaches, when we get to those elite levels, they just assume that you know, right?
I mean, the bottom line is we can all continue to grow. Like as coaches, I'm learning stuff every day still. Like we're all learning from each other. And so like the players can continue to grow. They can learn from each other just as much as they can learn from us. We can learn from them. Looking and learning about different things and learning different ways or analyzing yourself. And none of us are perfect and we can change a lot about, I know I can change a lot about myself and so we try to just, again, it goes back to helping good humans get better.
God bless you.
At the very end of the day.
God bless you. So
hey, I think I need to go to
me too.
Another thing. But
with that said, I want to thank you so much for coming on board and thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And I so look forward to talking to you again and getting you involved with this again. So thank you.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much for having me on.
And make sure people that were following the Loyal at San Diego Loyal on Instagram and San Diego Loyal on Twitter. So
Thank you so much. Go Loyal and go Blue.
Not a girl. All right.
Have to get in the Michigan plug. Absolutely.
Here we go.
All right.
Go team.
Thanks,
to you soon.
Jason.
Bye.
Good to talk to you. Appreciate it.